Namaskar, my name is Pawan Phande and I am trainer of SKETCHUP and VREC course. So let's get started the course now. One last thing before we can render an podium, let's go to shadows and turn on the shadows. And lastly, just click the first icon here on the podium toolbar. I will start the rendering process. It's going to begin processing that geometry. And it is also going to bring up this OOPR, which is essentially the rendering manager, where you can see any renders that you have in the queue. You can also click show. Now I will show you a preview of the rendering. Now we can't preview it just yet because it does have to process all of the geometry. The time to process all the geometry really depends on how many faces you have in your models. And a key point here, it is if you are doing an image or rendering like this is you want to save the separate file. Just all the geometry in here and you can delete geometry like things in the dining room or things in the kitchen, because right now it is actually reading the spaces or you don't see them in the model. So once it processes all the geometry, you can then open up in the OOPR. You can then click show and it will begin by gathering all of the lighting. It will then pre-render the image, and this is usually a good indication to see how the lighting levels are. In most cases for interiors, they are going to come in the pretty dark, so you can usually have adjust the level in Photoshop afterwards. And the features with Podium version 2 plus is the ability to actually have its own image editor, where you can do some of the lighting levels and adjustment directly inside of the PR here. Once the rendering complete, you can take a look at in your Finder and see the results. The first thing we'll notice is that the image overall is pretty dark. However, we can adjust that in the next video by bringing the levels up in Photoshop. You will see that nice blurred reflection here. So it's bring the light. You can see the bump map in the carpet as well as on the wood here. So the wood starts to look more three-dimensional. The other things you will notice is the lightning from the object that can we have. We have the light here and thus 3 lights here. That's pretty much the basics of how to export our rendering using Podium. The last thing that we need to do is just post-process in this Photoshop, and we will do that image as well as a few other exports from the SketchUp model itself. Thank you.